Two brothers, the same opportunity, the same job, but one of them became a landowner, while the other spent his entire life breaking his back in the fields. What happened? And more importantly, how could this be happening to you right now without you even realizing it? In today's lesson, we'll learn the story of two brothers. One took a risk. He had to sacrifice his own earnings. He spent sleepless nights fixing mistakes, but in the end, he built an empire, while the other was still digging the same land as always. Lesson 4. The legacy of the two brothers. Make money work while you sleep. This is a story from the past, but it's also a story about you. Let's travel back to the year 895 AD, deep into Western Europe. In the days of kings and feudal lords, wealth wasn't just about gold. It was about power. But power didn't belong to the strongest. It belonged to those who knew how to multiply what they had. And that's exactly what two brothers discovered the hard way. The moon was still high over the fields when Cedric and Hugo were already up. As sons of a humble blacksmith, they spent their youth working the lands of their uncle, a powerful and lonely feudal lord. With no direct heirs, the question was inevitable. Who would inherit his fortune? Both worked from sunrise to sunset. Their uncle paid them well, but they never had time to spend the coins they earned. The days passed in the blink of an eye, and at the end of each one, all that remained was exhaustion. And so the years went by. An endless cycle of hard work and sweat poured into the land. But Cedric felt something was off. While Hugo believed the only way to get rich was to work harder, Cedric kept wondering, if hard work was the key to wealth, why were the peasants still poor? This question haunted him, and it led him to make a decision that would change his fate forever. Cedric spent days observing the field. He noticed something Hugo ignored. There were men in the village looking for work. Men willing to plow the land for just a few coins. That's when he had an idea. But at the same time, he knew this idea could be risky. After all, no one had ever tried anything like it around there. What if we hired some workers? We could produce more without working ourselves to the bone, Cedric suggested. That's foolish. We work to save gold, and you want to waste it paying strangers? What a waste of time, Hugo scoffed. Cedric ignored his brother's laughter and hired two workers, which turned out to be a disaster. At first, it seemed like he had made the biggest mistake of his life. They made mistakes, destroyed part of the harvest, and at the end of the day, Cedric had to redo everything. His own money seemed to be slipping through his fingers. Maybe Hugo was right. Or was he? But Cedric refused to give up. He knew that every lesson has a price. The first few months were tough. The workers messed up, trampled crops, broke tools. Cedric found himself redoing work and losing precious hours of rest. But over time, something changed. Week after week, the workers learned. They started making fewer mistakes. They got into the rhythm. The workers got better. Production doubled. Within months, Cedric was working less and harvesting more. That's when he realized he could go even further. And that meant only one thing: growth. If he could already produce more without increasing his effort, why stop now? After all, the real mistake would be stopping here. Cedric leased neighboring lands, hired more workers, and multiplied his profits. Meanwhile, Hugo still worked alone, his body exhausted, his hands calloused, his earnings stagnant. And more, he found himself surrounded by his brother's success. Hugo watched Cedric grow and wondered, how is this possible? We work together, but now he has everything, and I'm still the same. Frustration grew inside him. Was he doomed to never move forward? One night, Hugo finally asked his brother, "What's your secret? How did you grow so much? It looks like you're making money even while you sleep." With a smile, Cedric replied, "I traded money for time. At first, I sacrificed some of my gold to pay workers, but over time, their labor started covering their own wages. and generating my profit. Those who work all day have no time to make money. Hugo realized it too late. But what about you? Are you still trading time for money? Or are you building something that works without you? Maybe you're thinking, but I'm just an employee. I can't hire anyone to work for me. In that case, your money has to work for you. Earning interest, compounding profits. Just invest what you've saved from Lesson 1, the rule of the first coin. The fate of the two brothers was sealed. Cedric, now the owner of several lands, saw his wealth grow exponentially, while Hugo continued plowing the same field day after day, year after year. Until one day, looking down at his calloused hands, he realized what he had lost. If you want to learn how to make your money work for you, like Cedric did, subscribe now. Otherwise, you won't be able to complain if you end up like Hugo.